times 3. Starting with what we know. Well, how would we say this? 2 times 3. Well, what does times mean? If we're taking multiply and putting it into regular old English? So this is 2 groups of 3. Okay? 2 groups of 3. That's easy enough. You know what the answer is? 6. 2 groups of 3 equals 6 items. Now, how do we draw that? 1 group, 2 groups, 3 objects in each group. Is that clear? Now, there's a fancy thing in the multiplying called the commutative property of multiplication. Fancy word meaning, fancy word meaning that we can take this whole thing, we can kind of reverse it. Let's group that. Just gonna cut that over there. Now, watch this. 3 times 2 equals what? 6. Let's put this equation into regular plain old English. 3 groups of 2. 3 groups of 2. Let's draw that. 3 groups, 2 objects in each group. Gives us 6 objects. Okay, following so far? 2 times 3 is equal to 3 times 2. Here's the $1,000,000 question. Is it the same thing? Yes. Is 2 times 3 exactly the same as 3 times 2? Okay. I'm glad you said no. I know your temptation is to say yes. Because, 6, right? Same answer. Here's what's important. Look. This and that. It's the same answer, but it means different things. In the world, when we're looking at this, when you're representing a problem in an equation, the order may not matter in addition or multiplication. But I want you to get into the habit of thinking about what it is. This is 2 groups, and there's 3 items in each group. Okay? Here's 3 groups, and there's 2 items in each group. This is like Fred and Gerald, and they get 3 things each. Okay? Now, let's go ahead and grab Fred and Gerald. Okay? They have 6 items. They share them. They get 3 each. Now, Bob shows up. Okay? There's Bob. And now, they have to share equally. They only get 2 each. Okay? 2 times 3 is 6. 3 times 2 is 6. I mean, this is kind of modeling division. Right? We're taking those 6 things and dividing it up either between 2 people or amongst 3. But you get the idea. You've got 3 people with 2 things each, or you have 2 people with 3 things each. It's not the same thing. So when you are expressing an equation, I want you to have in your head what it is that it means in just plain old English. Plain old language. Is it 2 groups of 3 or is it 3 groups of 2? And I want you to think about which number should go first. Okay? You create your equations so that when we translate them into plain old language, it means what you want it to mean. All right? That will become more apparent when we go on to our next statement here. In answer to your question, it's the same answer as it's always been. If you think it'll help you, write it down. The best thing to do is just write it down. It's a fraction times a whole number. 2 times 1/2. What does that mean? What is that in a sentence? 2 groups of 1/2. 2 groups of 1/2. Okay? 1 group, 2 groups. I have a half there, and I have a half there. I have 2 1/2s. I have 2 of these 1/2 pieces. 2 2ths. 2 seconds. 2 halves. What is 2 halves, by the way? It's one whole object. Okay? A whole object. 2 1/2s. 2 groups of a half. Can you see where we're going to go with this? What am I going to put on this side? One half times 2. What does that say in a plain language sentence? Okay. 1/2 of a group, half of a group of 2. Half of a group of 2. Okay, well, here's my one thing, and here's my second thing, and I want how much? Half of it. Cut it in half. How much is in 1/2? Haha, 1. You know what? I giggle because it's neat the way you can kind of flip things around and you get the same answer. You come at a different direction, it means the same thing. You put 2 or 3 different strategies together and they all work. It's neat. A half times 2. I've got 2 objects and I want half of them. Over here, I had a half a thing, but I had 2 of them. The answer is the same, but what it means is different. And it's important to be able to read that sentence and turn it into math, or to look at a math statement and turn it into words, because you're representing different things. I have 2 groups of these half things. I have 2 of these halves. Over here, I have 2 things, but I'm taking half of them. I have half of 2 whole things. Half of 2 whole things, or 2 of half a thing. Half of two whole things. And here I have two of half things. Some neat stuff.